There's so many things that we need to talk about, but let's talk about sports first. Hi, V.
Hi, Pete. Really nice to see your face, by the
You
way.
too, and hear your voice. We are sort of not officially back from hiatus, but we're having a little bonus episode.
Why
Do
did
you
I
want to
think you
tell
were gonna
us
say
what
boner
our
episode? What? That's
It
not
is
even a
also a
thing.
huge boner for me that we're doing this episode because
I
we've
am
had so much to talk about and we miss
so
each
much.
other, and it's been quite a couple of months. Y'all, we're technically on the bounce off mat leave right now. That's what this is, right, V?
It's true. Yes. Listeners, you might be hearing cute little squeaky sounds of a baby in the background because a month ago I did in fact deliver our baby boy, our second babe. Kind of wild. And now I feel like people are gonna go back and watch videos and be like, I can't tell you were pregnant. And it reminds me a lot of how you and I first met. And
Correct. I'm really glad that you brought that up and I didn't.
I just want everyone to know here that I really wanted P to like me, so I had to like fake that I wasn't pregnant. You know? Has anyone else done that before to snag somebody? I just really wanted P to find me attractive, and
Well, it
so
worked. But then as soon as I got on board, you're like, just kidding. I'm about to leave.
by the way, I'm about to have a baby. It's true. It is so true. I feel like listeners are going to have the same trap. But I am coming to you exhausted, beyond exhausted, but
I mean, you look incredible right now.
oh, that's very kind for you to say because inside I feel like I was gonna say feel like shit, but honestly, what I really feel like is, all that criticism that everyone's throwing now at the first all-female astronaut space trip with fucking Katy
Katy
Perry
Perry.
and all those like they're getting so much criticism. I feel like inside that's how I'm like criticizing myself actually right now around
V,
all of it
I
and like being like so exhausted. I'm like, whoa, get it together. You had a baby like 4 weeks ago. So it's just like it's a thing I feel like a lot of postpartum women go through. But I
Mhm.
have to say, Kylie Kelsey did a podcast episode, her like amazing podcast, like two
Yeah.
days after delivering her baby.
Oh my God.
It's like she's literally holding her baby while while recording, and this is my inspiration. I was like, if Kylie can do it, I can do one a month
That
later.
that is inspirational. I'm just gonna tell you, like, you've never looked better, I think. Like, look at you. You
Is it
like
this
really
cleave? Is it
pulled it.
this
It's the
cleaving?
you like really pulled it together just to record today.
Then lactation does wonders for people. You heard it here first.
While you were pumping out a babe, I
What were
was
you
in
doing?
Japan.
Let's just talk about how incredible it is to decide to go to Japan. Like, it's not an easy thing. I know a lot more people are kind of heading there these days, but like, why Japan?
Okay, we've always wanted to go to Japan. I've always wanted to go to Japan. It was like a place that I've always wanted to visit since I was young because it just seems cool and culturally amazing, and they're responsible for so many things that I love, like Nintendo, for instance, and the food. Just everything about it I've always been curious about. So finally we planned it, and everyone is going these days because the dollar up until a few weeks ago was pretty strong against the yen. So like a month ago when we were in Japan, it was great. I can't speak for travelers who are traveling like today because everything has changed.
How was that, like identifying as an American traveling
I will
internationally right
say,
now?
so Japan, I know that they have like over tourism problems and they're having issues with tourists being like not knowing how to really behave there, just like everywhere. But we went to Hiroshima for a day and we saw the impact zone site and the memorial area, and we saw the museum that just has like a lot of like, it was kind of like, yeah, like
Mm.
fucking put your face in this right now because you did this. And it wasn't hostile though at all. And one of the things that I asked our tour guide was like, why don't you hate us more? Because this is
What?
so fuck. That was my question. I asked her like verbally, and I was like, this is so fucked up what this bomb did to this city. Not only that, but like back in our on our home turf, we were like imprisoning your kinsmen on our own grounds, like in
Mm.
prison camps.
Right.
I was like, why do you like us? And she just said, We're just happy you want to come here and learn about it.
Ugh,
I
that's
know.
such a kind response.
Isn't that incredible? And that's what we felt in Japan, just like an overall sense of like warmth and appreciation and just like everything that they are is just so specific to them and I love everything about it.
Mm.
But we happened to be there kind of by happenstance. We did not plan for this during the Tokyo series. So yes, this has a sports connection.
You surprised me with that. All of a sudden, you just like send me a photo of you wearing the hat, and I was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, so I found out like 2 days because we'd planned this trip in like January. I found out like 2 days before we left that the Tokyo series was happening there. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, that's going to be going on while we were in Tokyo. And I was like, we should try to go. So we land in Osaka. We took a flight from LA to Osaka, and everyone in the immigration line is a Dodger fan. Like, everyone's wearing Dodger gear in some way. And everyone starts talking to each other, being like, oh, yeah, we planned this trip back in October before we had even won the World Series. Like, people had clearly just traveled to Japan
Wow.
for the
Oh,
Tokyo
yes.
series for the Dodgers.
Wow. What a cool group of people to be surrounded by, though.
I
You know
know
what I
it
mean?
was like so random. It was like nighttime. We'd just gotten off this 12-hour flight, and everyone's like so pumped. And it was all like LA Dodger fans. So that was cool. And it was like interesting to see how many people, like you could really tell, even just walking around Tokyo, like Angelinos were there in their
Mm.
gear. So the cool thing about this, right, is that we have the biggest Japanese player, like of all time, on our team and his face is everywhere in Tokyo, and people fucking love him.
Mm.
We also have Yamamoto, and then the other team that had come in for the Tokyo series was the Cubs. They also have two big Japanese players who came from the whole kind of school of Japanese baseball. So it was a really cool, like, homecoming almost for these guys. Okay, let me just read you some stats about how fucking big this was, dude.
Oh, I would love to know. When you said that, like, Otani is like the biggest Japanese player, I was like, I feel like he's the biggest Japanese person.
Also, like
Like,
physically the biggest.
like,
Oh, oh.
yeah, that too. But I was like, can you name a more recognizable, famous Japanese person right now, like on
No,
this
for
planet?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly. It's insane. Okay, game 1 of the Tokyo series pulled in 25 million viewers in Japan, the most ever for an MLB game in that country.
Wow.
It was MLB's biggest opening day broadcast in Asia. And it was it was a 139% jump from last year's Seoul series in Korea. Which makes sense. Japan is a huge market for baseball and
Right.
baseball fandom.
Right.
Now, here was the part that blew my mind. It was like the merch culture around this series. So, when Dan and I got there, we decided we wanted to see what they had done for the Tokyo series is that the Dodgers and the Cubs each played a Japanese team. So they each played the Tokyo Yomiuri Giants and they each played the Hanshin Tigers. And then after they did those exhibition games for 2 days, they started the series and they played each other. So
Cool.
those games, those like MLB season games were like impossible to get tickets for. It was not impossible to get tickets for these other games. And, we didn't want to pay 4 times as much just to go to the Dodger game. We just kind of wanted to go and see something. So we ended up going to see the Cubs play the Tokyo team. When we got there, our game was the evening game and the daytime game had just let out. And it had been the Dodger game and it was chaos. Like, they had a pop-up shop that they had opened just for the Tokyo series, and the line for that was like 1,000 people deep. Like, those
Oh,
people are waiting hours.
like one pop-up location, not like they set up
Yeah,
multiple.
okay, so we like went on a real like merch journey. Like we wanted to get some Japanese team merch because we were gonna go see the game and we were like in Japan. So we each got like Hanshin Tiger and Yomiuri Giant hats.
That's cool.
There was like no line for for buying those really. But
Oh.
then we were like, what is going on in this pop-up shop? So when our game lets out, because I did want one of the hats that said Tokyo Series on it. So our game gets out and nobody's in the store. Everyone's gone because the Dodger game is over. and everyone had already gone through the line by then,
Oh,
and that was like 3 hours later.
so you just
So
like cruised right in.
we just cruised right in. It's
Amazing.
all Otani jerseys. It's like Otani, Yamamoto, some. Everything is just Otani stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy anything here.
Right,
Like,
that's not what I
I
wanted.
just go home and buy that stuff like for cheaper. So I really wanted that fucking hat. So we ended up going to so many shops just trying to find this hat. And that hat kept getting sold out everywhere. Finally, I lucked out and I found like a 47 store and they had them, but like all these shops that we were going into were getting sold out of these hats.
Dude.
So it was wild. So that's what this I'm reading from the boardroom. The Fanatics operated stores at the Tokyo Dome. This is what the pop-up was.
Yeah.
We're processing over 1,000 transactions per hour with Otani's Dodgers jersey as the hottest item. 200,000 fans shopped at official MLB stores throughout Tokyo.
Oh my God. It's actually like you just said, like the merch culture there. I'm really trying to think about, do they have the same, like resale obsessions that we do over here and the black market stuff? You know what I mean? Like I just
Yeah, well, they have a big vintage culture. So a lot of the
okay.
vintage shops had like old Dodger stuff. A lot of them had Otani jerseys.
Okay.
There were MLB hats everywhere. I saw a girl get off the train wearing the Murakami collab. I don't know if you saw this, but Murakami did it like a Dodger collab. And so he had some gear
Oh,
that had like his, the flowers on it. And
yeah.
like those hats and jerseys sold out in like minutes here. And I'm like, how did this girl get that fucking hat?
Rip it off of her. Wait,
Yeah.
okay, so real talk. I have two questions about you attending this game. One is, let me start with my first one, which is what stood out to you the most about the like fan culture or stadium atmosphere compared to like a game in North America?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked that question. We immediately noticed how quiet it is. Like, there's no just like chit-chatting. Nobody's
Oh,
chit-chatting during the game. They're like watching it. And
I'd be terrible.
when
I'd be terrible at this already.
I know I mean, we still were chit-chatting, but it was like quiet. It wasn't like, it was also indoors, so I don't know if that contributed to sort of like
Mm,
noise levels feeling low, but it wasn't all quiet. There was cheering, but they were this was the home team, the Tokyo home team, right? At the fan base at large or the attendees at large were really just cheering anytime anybody had a good at bat or anytime anyone made a good play in the field. So it was kind of like they were just there for good
ugh,
baseball. That said, there was a whole section. I posted this on our Instagram, a little clip of this. A whole section of it was like the spirit section. It was all Yomiuri Giants fans. There were like brass instruments somewhere that I could hear but not see, and they had like very elaborate long chants and songs that they sang every time one of the Tokyo players got up to bat. So usually the at bat is the quietest part in like the
yes.
American games. This was
Yes.
like they were singing while the pitches were going out to the guy
Oh my, every single time that
every single time.
wow.
And these weren't just like chanting their names. Like the Yankees like bleacher section used to have like player chants, but it was just like Derek Jeter, it
Yeah,
wasn't like these were like
stupid.
songs with like lyrics and
Like
shit.
dope lyrics. But in Japanese, I'm
Yeah.
assuming. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's very interesting because actually, when I asked that question, I sort of thought about this like silence versus loud cultural
Hmm.
differences. Secondly, because you just talked about this, like singing before at bat or whatever, there are certain like rituals that happen like before, during, after a game in North America, whatever. It could be as easy as like, it could be the coordinated chant. It could be, I don't know, there's like fireworks after game or a mascot comes
Hmm.
out or there's, w was there anything that stuck out to you as like a ritual that happened during the game?
Well, before they'd started, they had like the Cubs mascot come out. He's like a little bear. He was doing cute stuff, but then like he had like a supporting cast of like Japanese plushy characters. And so it was like, we were like, whoa, what's going on? I posted a clip of this as well on our
Oh my
Instagram.
God. If I
So
was
he was
on
doing his like,
mushrooms, that would have just
yes,
tripped me
he was
out.
doing like his Cubs shtick, but then there was all these like hee hee like other characters just like running around. They also had cheerleaders, two
Oh,
two lines of like girl cheerleaders on like each side, and they did stuff like dances and stuff in between innings. Yeah, I've never seen that in a baseball game, I don't think.
same. Wow. That's truthfully, I mean, talk about challenging my stereotypes of cultures, but that is not what I would have assumed for like an Asian-based sports team to have cheerleaders,
Yeah,
truthfully. Just taking a baby check over here.
how's he doing?
He's doing great. He's doing just great. He's just chilling.
One thing that I did want to bring up though is that like we're in Japan and like every like white dude's walk-up song was like a fucking like Morgan Wall.
Are you joking,
It
dude?
was like the countryest of country, and it was just like, oh God, these white dude walk-up songs are so killing the
So
vibe.
embarrassing, man. Like, really, of all the jams,
I know.
and that's like how people internalize, like how they will internalize American culture, right? When they see that.
And like when you watch a game here, you can tell like the Dominican walk-up songs are all like, they got the beats, and then there's just like slow ass fucking American country song, and you're like, oh, I know who this must be.
That is very disappointing, honestly.
I
But
know that one was like, ugh, it felt like weird to hear there. Well, all of this fandom and excitement might get completely rained on when we talk about the other topic around baseball, which is the White House visit.
yeah, which we've talked about a couple months
We've
ago of
we brought it up when the Eagles, everyone thought that they had said no, but in fact they hadn't, and they had said yes. And then I also read that Donald Trump invited the Chiefs as well. I think because they weren't able to go because of
during
COVID or
COVID.
something.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, well, if you're gonna invite them, like invite the Yankees and put some heat on them too. Like, let's see what they do. Because there were so many comments that were like, "Oh, I'm done with the Dodgers now. Fuck the Dodgers. They're such hypocrites. Like, the Yankees would never do that." And I'm like, excuse me, do you know who the Yankees are?
Yes.
They would be like up that guy's butt in a second.
I know. They're just so insecure, those fans. So
And they're just like that elitist, like whatever. But
So
there were a lot
P,
of
you're our Dodgers fan,
yeah, I
okay?
know, I know,
And
I
and
know.
I want you to like really be real about this because there's a Trump thing that I'm going to be related about later. Goddamn
I know.
tabloids.
I know. I know.
We had talked about without it associating with the Dodgers, what it means these days for a team to go to the White House. Does it mean what it means? What it used to mean? And the Dodgers did in fact do this earlier this
Yeah.
month.
Yep.
And I really, as a fan, P, what's your understanding of why they did it, and how do you interpret that as a fan now?
There have been a lot of issues here. First of all, people made this joke because, like, when they went to the White House, they had been like 8-0. They were just like crushing it. And then after the White House visit, they're just like losing a bunch of games. So it's like, yeah, karma, curse, whatever. Like, you invited the bad juju in. But the issues that I had, first of all, is that like Mookie Betts refused to go when the Red Sox won. Dave Roberts had also been on the record in previous years as being like, no, thank you. All of a sudden, the organization comes out, and even Dave Roberts comes out, and he's like, we're going. This is just something that teams that win do. It's just tradition. Everyone is hiding under this, like, it's tradition. It doesn't mean anything. This is just something we get to do to celebrate our win. And no acknowledgement of what this meant, no acknowledgement that this in particular feels different. There were a lot of comments that are like, it's just, it's the president. It's any president, they would be doing this. And it's like, but this isn't just any president. And especially what everyone was saying who's really pissed that they agreed to go is the DEI stuff, right? This
Hmm.
administration has been so anti-DEI, like so aggressively against it and pulling it. And here is a team that really stands for diversity in so many ways, even throughout their history. And in that whole like DEI fiasco, right, that Jackie Robinson had gotten pulled down off of the website, like the White House site or whatever,
Hmm.
and then they like put him back. But that was our guy, right? And so I had heard like some people were saying like that's just not what the Dodgers stand for. And given that like the leadership team or the ownership team is comprised of like Magic Johnson and Billie Jean King, like
Right.
they wouldn't stand for this, right? But the head of the organization came out and was like, "Yeah, we talked about it as a team and this is what we're going to do." And I'm like, "What do you mean we talked about it as a team?" Because then there were other reports that people were like, "No, no, no, we didn't talk about it as a team." Like Kike came out and said, "No, we didn't discuss it as a team." But so I'm like, who talked about it? Who discussed it? Is it better to have the teammates involved in making that decision, or is it better for the organization to just be like, "This is what we're doing"? I, for one, was like, we cannot do this. So I wrote a fan feedback email because I think a lot of people were doing that. And I was like, don't put this on the players because we have Japanese players on this team who have brands that are global. They have brands outside of the politics and the divisions of our country, and it's not fair for to put them in the position to potentially taint that brand either way by
Mm.
being like caught in the middle of this stupid like mess that we're in as a country. And so I was just like making that argument.
I do think, by the way, what you're saying of, I don't know if they all got media training or if they got key phrases to say, but I do, Mookie Betts in an interview was like, this is about the Dodgers. I'm being loyal to my boys in the
Right.
clubhouse. Like,
Right.
it really felt like he was saying, I didn't make this decision. Not something I would have done.
Yeah.
And that whole sentence, I remember being like, were they told to say this in media training?
It really feels like that, even down to Dave Roberts. Like everyone was like so kind of I guess conservative about how much they were expressing here. It did sound like talking points and it sort of sounded like this is how it is, end of story, versus I was hoping for at least afterwards some sort of messaging of like, yes, this is we went, but here are all the things we considered when going, and here are all the ways that
Mhm.
we plan to still, stand up for our values as a dot. But nobody did that either.
Right. Right.
So I have a close friend who I want to have on the pod. She's a huge Dodger fan, and she was sort of playing devil's advocate. She was like, they should go because not going gives the Trump administration more of what they want, right? They love when people boycott them
So true.
because it gives them more power and it gives them the control of the narrative, and they can then say all this shit about the Dodgers. I want them to go and I want them to all wear the 42 jersey. A lot of people had this idea.
I
They didn't.
love that idea.
Wouldn't that have been amazing?
Oh my God, yes.
But they didn't do that either.
In fact, they haven't done anything, right? Like,
No, no, they did it. They went, they got the photo up, and then they've had to take it from the fans, and they haven't there's been no messaging after the fact. Nothing.
what's frustrating is it feels like it could, I will even take a small tweak. Like
Yeah.
Mookie Betts' interview, if he was just like, this is about the Dodgers, an organization that stands for having broader cultural conversations about blah blah blah. Like he could just said that, and I'm there to support my boys from the clubhouse, and I would have read between the lines. I would have been like,
Yes.
cool, like there's some recognition of it. But now as you say this, P, I'm realizing I haven't even heard something like that.
So I sent you something that Kike did. It was a Spanish language interview, so I only maybe
Oh my
caught
God.
like half of it.
You sent that to me, P. I know you wanted to be serious, for me to really take in how he responded to these questions about this big visit, but all I could do was just like, auga, auga. I was just like in love.
He's so hot.
Why is he
Yeah.
so hot?
So like when I was reading between the lines, because I also didn't understand every word he said, I could see that like Kike smirk, and it was almost like he was saying the talking points, but he was like, you know what I really mean, right? You know me, you know who I am, and this is what I feel about it, but here's what I'm saying. Here are the words. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the closest I saw to someone being real about what the fuck.
course it was Kike who was
Of
probably
course
more
it was
original.
Kike.
And
And
he
you know
and he
what?
needs to be
Wait.
careful about who that audience is too, right? When you're doing that
I
interview
know.
in Spanish, like you're part of this like Latin community that's being victimized so hardcore right now, and there's no way I can imagine him playing up and being like, "I did it for the organization." People would have, not gonna
Well,
work.
I also wonder how much the MLB is a part of pressuring organizations around decisions like this because the MLB did scrub DEI from their website, all mentions of any DEI
Is
programs. And so I don't know if it
Of
was like
course they
strong
did.
arming by the league too as being part of this. But I don't know. I thought each organization generally can operate like
But if
kind
they
of their
get
own
like
way.
federal funding, right? Anyone who gets federal funding had to basically scrub it, including the American Psychological Association. I digress. There's a big thing right now as psychologists, but
Fuck that.
anyway, oh dude, the whole thing is unbelievable. But
Well,
um
okay, should we use Trump as the segue to golf?
I need to get a Kleenex for this next segment. Oh, to think I like trained my 3-year-old to cheer on Tiger Woods and now she just cheers on Charlie. I'm like, no, no, Charlie. I meant Charlie, not
Charlie. Yeah,
Tiger.
just Charlie. Just
Yeah.
Charlie.
And she's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. So, I don't even know where to start this. Last month, Tiger Woods made the weirdest Instagram post.
It was so funny, actually.
Like, that's not him, right? Like, that's got to be his social media person. The whole thing is
I
so.
don't even know whose social media person would want to orchestrate. It was like that clip I sent you of there's another podcast, the sports gossip podcast, where they're like, this is clearly these photos were taken on the same day because they're wearing the same clothes, but in one photo they've been like slightly adjusted or they added jackets to make it look like here's another day in our love life. Like it's just so contrived and so awkward. Like,
Okay.
why?
Okay. Oh God. Okay, first of all, Tiger Woods is
Wait,
not
should
gonna
we just
write.
say what this is?
Yeah,
Like,
we should just say what this is, which is last month, no, 3 weeks ago, Tiger Woods announced that he is in a relationship with Vanessa Trump. And
where do all these, first of all, where do all these Trumps keep coming from? Like, we keep learning about new
I
Trumps.
know. And I think actually she is an in
She was the ex girlfriend. No, she was the ex wife of Donald
Donald Jr.
Jr.
Yes, she was like the daughter-in-law, the ex-daughter-in-law for DJT. So
So she
she's
kept the
she
Trump
kept
name.
her last name. She didn't have to. So already you're
No.
like, what an idiot. Um, but Tiger Woods starts this caption with "Love is in the air." No, P. No grown ass man is starting his Instagram caption with "Love is in the air." This is why I'm like, this has to be his social media manager. I just can't imagine it. The other part that's like a little wild, so you're talking about this photo shoot that they clearly did on the same day. Okay, these two people have a lot of money. Why are they rocking on a hammock that's rusted? There's like rust on the metal on this hammock.
Oh no. Oh god.
And I'm
Oh
like,
no.
where is this shoot? This is not at their home.
No.
This is like,
Maybe it's at
anyway.
Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I bet things are falling apart over there, so I believe it. Listen, we already talked earlier about how Tiger and Charlie did a round with DJT earlier this year.
Hmm.
Already I was like, this dude, I need to be done with him. This happens, and I'm just like, oh, homie. Like I really listen, she's a white woman with blonde hair. Like this is clearly in his
He has a thing.
wheelhouse. This is
Hmm.
this is how he does it. But the fact that it just like more aligns him in this light that I don't want to see this guy in is so disappointing. I can't really be a fan anymore. Can I, P?
It's hard. We've talked about this when it comes to like musical artists, but that feels different than Tiger Woods. Like he's at this place in his career where it's just like, I guess you could be a fan of his legacy and what he did for the game, but there's nothing really to root for anymore anyway.
That's you just nailed it right there. I think that's where I've landed with this, at least for right now, which is I can appreciate what he did for the sport and his incredible achievements, but from like here on out, for what I know, what am I supporting here? What am I like going up
Right.
to bat for?
Right.
People, there were people who dropped him when they found out, like, look at this guy and his womanizing ways and how much he,
Yeah.
and even then, honestly, I was kind of
What else?
like, he's a professional athlete, dude. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, all these professional athletes bag as many women as they want, and
And those all those three guys, like the goat guys, the Michael Jordan, the Derek Jeter, and the Tiger Woods, they each got their own like docu series, and all three of those docu series we were giving like mad sociopathy. Like
totally.
there's such a commonality in that way of thinking that's super revered in a guy like that, in a competitor like that, for being like singularly minded around winning, that I think, I don't know chicken or egg, but like it certainly cuts them off to their humanity or from their humanity. Like I've just never seen them have chemistry with another human being like in a genuine way.
Oh my gosh, exactly. This the TGL, the thing they were trying to do in the off season with golf, and let's get to see the personalities. Even then, when I was seeing Tiger, I was like, I don't know, dude, there's something about you that feels forced,
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah.
like so
It makes me
robotic.
uncomfortable watching him.
Totally. Totally. And then his Achilles gets ripped or whatever. He
Hmm.
tears it up, and I was like, dude, bye.
Like, just stop. Just stop.
Like, what are you doing? What are
Truly.
you doing? So
Yeah.
just like rock on a hammock and chill out. You know what I mean? On a rusted
We
ass
will
hammock.
enjoy your life of love or whatever. Okay, well, speaking of people who we've watched not win recently, Rory certainly turned that around.
P, I want to genuinely say I have not had that much fun watching the Masters in years. Maybe since 2017. I mean, honestly, it was thrilling to watch hole by hole. And I also love a good golf nap. And I tried to on Sunday and it was not happening because Rory is so dramatic.
Yeah,
In a way I know he doesn't want to be, but you could tell the crowd was really behind him. And at least of what we know as of 2025, he just seems like a genuinely good dude,
no,
P.
dude, I love Rory. Okay, I'm glad that you mentioned this about the crowd. Something that struck me. So, like, finally he won the Masters. He got his green jacket and he got his Grand Slam. And he hasn't won any majors in like 14 years or some
10
shit.
years, yeah.
And you are not alone. Like, viewership for this Masters, you sent me some information that it was record high, especially that last 15 minutes where it was like the playoff. But something that I was noticing was, the crowd really did get behind him, and I think they wanted to see him win because we've just like been so frustrated all the time by his short game, like fucking him, and then he's just kind of out of all of these tournaments. And we saw him lose the British Open in Scotland, and like that one hurt.
Yes.
But like I was looking at comments and I found myself expecting people to be like, it's about fucking time, like that kind of mentality. Cause that's kind of how I felt. I didn't necessarily feel celebratory. I was like, Jesus Christ, thank God,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that just would have been fucking pathetic. But those comments didn't exist. They were all like, oh my God, so good, such a good Masters, go Rory, love Rory. And I was like, this is so interesting because if this were any other sport, the fans would be like, dude, that guy was almost a goner, like fucking about time. As
Yeah,
soon as someone
interesting.
fucks up in another sport, they're like, fuck that guy, get rid of him. Right? There's so much hostility toward players that are not playing the way you want them to play. But
Correct.
with golf, like, I wonder if it's a golf fan culture thing versus fandom of other sports. Dan was trying to explain that question that I had by saying, like, well, for people who play golf, it's so relatable. These guys are doing these incredible things, and you can also see what's going on for them internally, and so you just want to root for them. But it took me back to what we talked about around the Full Swing documentary and how
Mm.
just like fluffy this whole culture is in golf, that nobody's real talking. Everybody's being so protective of each other,
Yes. Yes.
even when it comes to like live in some sense,
Well, that's where I actually think Rory has stood out and why I think the crowd was going for him because he did take a stand for golf's future.
Yeah,
and really trying to preserve the integrity, the tradition of the sport with the PGA Tour. There were very few
right.
players who, I know there were players who didn't love Live Tour, but they weren't willing to go up to bat for the PGA Tour like Rory was.
Totally, totally.
And I do think that fans agreed with him. And the reason why I think that is because he was also paired with Bryson DeChambeau, who
Uh-huh.
went opposite ways and went for the live golf stuff. And people like DeChambeau crumbled in his final round. And people were saying things like, go cry in your Saudi money, you motherfucker. Like, people were
Yeah.
like, there was just really not a lot of empathy or compassion for how hard it must have been Sunday at the Masters for him. And I really think it's because of this like PGA Tour versus live golf
Yeah, I didn't
drama.
think anyone wanted to see another live guy win the Masters because wasn't it was Brooks Koepka last. So
Yeah.
it's like
Blech.
no, nobody wants to see that. We would much rather see Rory win. It's just yeah, maybe the live kind of rivalry. Also like what the fuck is happening with that? Wasn't there supposed to be like a merger or something? There was someone else who now got banned because of live and I was like, "Wait, but I thought that they merged."
Yeah, Rory did this like kind of passive aggressive interview, which I loved last month, where he's basically like, "This is not, it's not my department anymore." Where I think he's kind of shown some frustration how he went up to bat for a couple years, and now all of a sudden you guys
Yeah.
want to merge
Yep.
because they were talking. The deal was, at least right now, is there's an exemption. You get to play in these four majors, plus I think the Players Championship if you're a live golf player. And now what they're trying to do is get to a happy medium, a place of negotiation. And Rory was like, "You can't. It takes two to tango." That's his phrase in the post game interview.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "You've got to be able to negotiate." So it sounds like the live golf folks are not willing to negotiate as much. Maybe the reporter in the press room was like, "So what would it take?" And Rory was like, "Well, we'd like their billions for sure. Like that."
Aw.
So I really think it's coming down to money, and I would say the other aspect to this Masters that made me realize people are really actually siding with the PGA Tour versus Live Golf is how much dogging people are doing on Phil Mickelson.
Yes, that's been fun.
Okay, there is a photo from the Champions Dinner. So every year, the champion from the previous year gets to have all the champions of all the masters get together and they host a dinner. They can choose the menu. Sometimes there's some cheeky items. It's like a tradition. So this year, the group photo was taken. You have to see Phil Mickelson. The dude looks coked out, P. Like
What?
like his face looks unbelievable and people are just trapped. Like the memes coming out of that photo are so good. Like so good. And people weren't
Okay.
really cheering for him in the Masters. Like he did not play well and I
Hmm.
think it's because everyone was like, "Dude, we're like
Yeah,
so over
don't want to
you."
hear from you anymore.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're saying that like the fluff and like the kind of unfettered enthusiasm is more for like the traditional like PGA hardcore guys and more of like the sports fandom like knocking people is happening for like the live guys because they jumped ship.
This is my interpretation. And so when you talk about things like Full Swing or even just documentary series in general, I don't know if it's too new, so people haven't captured this angle yet, but there is stuff, like there is drama happening.
Hmm.
I texted you about Jack Nicklaus and his comments about Phil
Hmm.
Mickelson in a post-match. Like there's
That
stuff
was great.
happening.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't
that's true. That was good.
I wonder if it's just not everyone's kind of being passive aggressive though about it.
Yes. Yeah, so they'll get there, I guess. Like golf, it's probably going to be passive until it becomes aggressive or until it has to. But
Yeah,
yeah, for Jack Nicklaus to make a comment that undermined Phil Mickelson is probably very out of character.
yeah, just to like let listeners know, the my favorite line of the entire interview was like, "Oh, is he still playing?"
He's still playing. I also, Dan and I used to laugh at how Tiger Woods and his mom used to call him Fatty.
Oh my God, so he really used to have a weight challenge.
I mean, and that other players were openly dogging on him and their moms.
They're
I mean, Asian moms. They gonna
classic.
comment on that,
They
yeah.
will comment about weight all the time.
Wait, you just to finish up the Masters, you brought up the dinner and the former winner getting to choose the menu. And speaking of white dude walk-up songs, like
This
Scotty
menu.
Scheffler menu. Can you imagine if you were like going to that dinner and you had to go there and eat Scotty Scheffler's fucking menu? Like, was it when Hideki won? It was
Yeah.
like fucking omakase sushi.
Dude, when Tiger won one year, he had sushi and sashimi as one of his.
Do you remember? I don't remember the specifics of Scotty's menu, but like, God, what a like vanilla ass bland fucking broiled chicken bullshit.
Okay, but there was one, I think there was one cheeky thing that he added, which was one of the items on his menu was, I think it was called like Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. And the reason
Jesus.
why that was funny is because it made headlines on Christmas. He got a hand injury while making homemade ravioli. He cut his hand on a shard of
Oh, that's right.
glass.
Yes.
And so it was like, haha, how funny. He's having ravioli bites on his menu. Like,
That is the dumbest thing I've ever. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean
you would have
about
loved
golf.
Tiger Woods one year had like a SoCal inspired menu. There was like fajitas and it was just like dope what he had.
Yeah, he's not doing Tiger Woods crushed chicken bone leg. Like, that's fucked up. Like, why would you do a dish as an inside joke for your injury?
My God, but I think Tiger Woods when he was a kid, I'm saying kid, like this is when he remember when he won the Masters in '97. The next year, his menu was like milkshakes, French fries, cheeseburgers. Like it was
Because he was 19.
clear, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's kind of cute. Yeah. Well, I
No,
hope
don't
that.
say cute. Fuck that guy, Pete.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. 19-year-old Tiger was cute. That's it.
Yeah.
But I hope Rory's is like Guinness and soda bread and shit.
That's like all I know about Irish cuisine.
Irish food is the best. I like it. Can I just really quickly about March Madness?
Yeah, because I did not follow it at all, P.
Well, one headline that I thought you would be super interested in, that you probably also saw making the rounds, was that March Madness time is like when vasectomies spike.
Oh, yes, this I do
Can
know.
you please, like, what the
Yes.
fuck?
Yes. I'm aware. This has like been going on for years
Yeah,
now.
it's
Yeah.
like a long-standing trend.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, I mean, partially it's because like what's the best time to have to be on the couch for 2, 3 days while you recover from this procedure? And have you like people have done I can't even say this out loud. I don't know if you heard this term, but people call it like vas madness instead of like March
Oh my God.
madness
Because of the vas deferens.
and like vasectomy, but also
Yeah,
vas
yeah.
deferens is like, remember when you first learned about that in school?
Like, what
Like,
is this?
what?
What is this? Why are all these words?
But yeah, it's really just about like recovery time.
So
And
so you're saying that all these men have been waiting to get vasectomies anyway, and they choose this time because they'll have something to do while. But isn't the downtime like 3 days?
yes, it's the
Okay.
saddest thing. Listen, as someone who just delivered a baby, downtime, I'm up every 3 hours, like breastfeeding my child, recuperating from my surgery. Like, what are you talking about? You need 2, 3 days for March Met. Like, oh,
That's absurd.
the whole thing. And actually, it's such a well-known thing that there are clinics who market towards this trend.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a thing where they have to like staff their clinics because March is going to be full.
Something about the statistic made me so mad because I'm like, this is the world that we live in. Like, it's just pure idiocy.
It
It's just
is.
like, you are so soft, guys.
Give me for that to be a pun.
Um,
They're
no.
they're
I'm
so
gonna admit
soft.
no, but it worked out really well.
P, you're genius, and I'm a 12-year-old boy. Continue.
Yeah, love it. Okay, super exciting thing about March Madness was my alma mater, UC San Diego, was in the tournament for the
Yes.
first time ever. I've talked about this on this show before that I went to a D3 school. So even though I had fun watching our athletic programs and games and competitions, we never really competed on the big stages. And somehow over the last 20 years since I was in college, this school has become D1. And it was really only in the last few years, it was pretty recent that they moved up to D2 and then D1. I don't super know how that mechanism works, but they were in the tournament and their first round matchup was against Michigan.
Yeah, so rude, honestly.
So fucking rude. But you know what? They held their own, and that game was so close and it was so tense to watch. And I was like, with Dan, like, this is what it must feel like to have gone to Penn State or any other school. And I really, really, for many reasons, wanted them to put Michigan away. But the main reason was this would like finally put my school on the map. You know, like people are always so confused when I say I went to UCSD. Even TBS was confused because on the scoreboard of the TBS broadcast, it
Yeah.
said SDSU.
Like,
That
no,
is a different
no,
school.
that's a state school. God damn. We're better
So
than
I was
that.
just like, fuck this, dude.
I continue to just not understand college sports and the fanfare around it. Like it just,
Yeah. I have to say, watching that game with like investment, I still don't really understand why basketball, like the amount of
mm,
times the whistle gets blown was just like, what are we doing? Why is this happening every time they run across once? It's just so infuriating.
man, I'm starting to feel like that with football too, to be honest. I'm like, now
Mm,
what?
flag,
Now
another
what
flag.
penalty?
Uh-huh,
Yes.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Just like, come on, man. It's just slowing everything down.
I
Anyway.
agree. It was really irritating. Okay, we have so much more to talk about. We will have to do it in another episode so that you can go feed your babe. But V,
Tell
we have
me.
a really special joint obsession this week
Yeah, I
that
want
I am
people
so obsessed with.
I want people to know that we text a lot more than about sports. And this one caught me by surprise because I will say you were the initiator of, and it sent me down a rabbit hole. P, who are we obsessed with this week?
Jason Derulo.
It's true, you can't even say his name
You
normally.
can't say it.
Oh my God.
We were like, I don't know why I read. Oh, I think I saw like an Instagram that used the What You Say clip. And I was like, oh yeah, that fucking song. So then I listened to it. And then the next song, I was like, oh fuck, yeah, this song. And then Swallow, which I love.
Yes.
It's just like song after song after song. And it's like, all of these are such bops
Yes. Homie's a
and
hit
like
maker.
a hit maker. And we don't talk about it.
Okay, so in my hole, my Jason Derulo hole, I actually didn't realize there's a reason why he's such a hit maker. He Before he was a solo artist, he wrote songs for Lil Wayne, Pitbull, Cassie,
What?
Diddy. Um,
Fuck.
yeah, like all of these people that we know who are also hit makers. He wrote songs for them before becoming his like own solo artist. He
So
just
he's like the Black Caribbean Megan Trainor.
he like the weirdest image in my head. Yes, I think is the answer to that. But he has like dance moves also. Like he just,
Yes.
he's also like he's a musical theater background.
Oh my God.
The dude studied opera, ballet, and tap. P.
Stop.
I'm not like there's a reason why he has the moves that he has. Like he is trained.
Oh my
And
God.
I know. And my kid who like watches Sesame Street, he's done some things with Sesame Street.
Oh, and
I
like,
know.
wait, was he just on Wheel of Fortune? Like, after we started talking about Jason Derulo and we went down the Derulo hole, and I'm texting you, like, I know what the girls done, Debney. And then I was like, oh, Tiptoe. Do you remember that song? You were like, here's a photo of Jason Derulo
On Wheel of
on Wheel of
Fortune.
Fortune.
Let me tell you how like newborn haze and exhausted I am. I thought, man, I've been like watching so many like Derulo videos now and talking about Derulo. Am I really seeing him on Wheel of Fortune on my TV? Like I thought my mind was making it up. And
Oh my
I was like, there's no
God.
way I'm seeing Derulo on my
You're
TV
like,
right now.
he planted this into my head.
I'm like, yo, I'm hallucinating, homies. Like, what is happening? Nope. Turns out he was in fact on Wheel of Fortune, and so like such a great partner in that game. He like helped his dude win.
I just think that like the gravitational pull of Jason Derulo is like what brought, we were in retrograde for a long time and like Jason Derulo pulled us out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Another fun fact I learned about him leading to this obsession. Do you know that he co-founded a line of sparkling coconut water drinks?
I just got sparkling coconut water and it's amazing.
Okay, but was it the line called
What?
Bedroom Trippin'? Because
Holy
that
shit. What? Why is it called that?
the worst name ever for a
Why
line.
isn't that one of his songs?
I know it's like, is that an album title or is that coconut water?
Bedroom trippin'. That is weird.
So weird, dude.
I can't say I've ever seen that in the stores.
Yeah, someone needs to like some marketing titan needs to get on that and fix that up. But so unbelievable, dude.
It's so Jason Derulo, though.
Jason Derulo. I'm so glad we could share this obsession, Pete. We've
Oh
never
my
had a
God.
shared one, and this one I'm here
It was
for.
good. Let's leave it there. We will be back soon,
We will.
dependent on this kid's feeding sketch.
I love you, Pete.
I love you, V.
It's so good to see you after whatever life has taken us to in the last
I
month.
know.
We have to cover playoffs. Like, y'all, we'll be back real soon.